Zok the Heilige Gemara. Today's daf is Nedarim Daf Yud Amid Aleph. So the Gemara is going to go back and try to explain who is the Tana of the Mishnah that seems to be machalak between a neder and a dava. So Zok the Gemara Yiboy saying, the Gemara is saying now another teretz means we had Rabbi Yehuda and Rameir. So the Gemara is saying afilu teima, you could say the Mishnah is going like Rabbi Yehuda. Kiyama Rabbi Yehuda. So what's Shittas Rabbi Yehuda? Shittas Rabbi Yehuda is that somebody that makes a neder and does pay is better than somebody that does not make a neder at all. That was Shittas Rabbi Yehuda. So Gemara is saying Mishnah can be going even like Rabbi Yehuda. Kiyama Rabbi Yehuda, that somebody that makes a neder as Mishalim is better than not making a neder. That's only with a dava. That's not talking about when he makes a neder. That's talking about when he makes an adava, which is he's donating. So he says on a carbon, on a certain behema, that this is going to be a carbon. That's when Yehuda meant to say it. But the neder, when a guy makes a neder, it says harei alai carbon. So again, so an adava would be harei zu carbon. This is a carbon. A neder is harei alai carbon. I'm being mechay myself a carbon. So even if the animal that we're talking about bringing for a carbon gets lost, I still have to bring another carbon. So but neder loy amar, then he did not say it. So for Gemara, how's that possible? Ktani toiv mizeh umizeh. It's mashma that it's mashma from Rabbi Yehuda says not like that. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda says toiv mizeh umizeh noidur makayim. It's better than this and this. The guy is noidur is makayim. So noidur makayim would appear to mean that the guy that makes a neder, not that a guy. How are you telling me that Rabbi Yehuda meant only a guy that makes a neder? It's like, Gemara, you're right. Today, the way you have to be gur is you have to learn noidiv u'makayim, not noidir u'makayim. It means the same noidiv u'makayim. But somebody that's noidir is making a neder. That's actually not praiseworthy at all. So Zakti Gemara Maishna noidir deloy damasimot tekala. How come, according to Rabbi Yehuda, somebody that's noidir and he pays his neder, we say it's not good. Why? Why is that not good? How come noidir is not good? And according to this, at this point, the Gemara, that's the Gemara's understanding. Why? Because the possibility to tekala. Maybe he'll, after he mekayim his neder, after he makes a neder, and he'll take a long time to bring it all the way through Regal and be over Baltachar. For the Gemara, the Davanami, maybe he'll come to, make it late and also be over Baltachar. After the Gemara, Yehuda goes according to his reasoning. The Amar Adam maybe Kifsasal Azara, that says that a guy brings his keves to the Azara when it's still chun or maktisha, and he could maktish it right then and there, and he could do smicha right away and shecht it. And in that case, you do not have a chashash takala. So in that case, that's the case. Rabbi Yehuda said it's that toiv, it's good to be noidiv u'makayim. That was the case that he was talking about. So Zakti Gemara Tinach, it's very good. The David Karbonis. It's very good by Kasher. You have the David Karbonis. Okay, so that's how Yehuda could say his halacha. That's toiv noidiv mashal. But a David Naziris, Michael and Meimar. So the Gemara is saying, how do you have Nedava by Naziris? So that's by Karbanis, fine, good. So Michael, what's going to be the case that's going to be good to do? You have a problem. Maybe there's to be chashash. Maybe we should be afraid that the guy's going to be over his Isser Naziris. So Gemara, Yehuda Tamei, Yehuda's going with his reading the Tanya, or the Sefter, Yehuda Aimer, Yehuda says, Chasidim Harishonim Avan Lahavi Kar Machatas. Chasidim Harishonim, because they were such great Chasidim, they wanted to mekayim their mitzvahs and bring the karbanos right away. but they weren't able to. Maybe they call Yidayim. And they wanted to bring karbanis, but they couldn't bring karbanis. Why? Because they were not nichshon avera, and a carbon chatas can only come if somebody's nichshon avera. It doesn't come. You can't bring it bin dava. It can only come if you're chayiv because you did something wrong. So what would they do? They wanted to bring all karbanis. What would they do? What was the eitzah? So the Gemara, they would go ahead and accept on themselves naziris. In order that they should be mechayiv karm chatas to Hashem. Because the end of the naziris, Allah would be that they have to bring karm chatas. So this is the Mishnah saying that the nidas ksherim would help for naziris. That would be in this case where a kosher guy, Chasidim Rishonim, they would go ahead and make them accept naziris on themselves in order to bring this chata. So this is the carbon that we're talking about that by Nedava would be naziris. Zakti Gemara, Reb Shimon says, Lo nadru benazir ela haroitza lahavi. Lo nadru benazir. They would not make a neder and nazir to bring karma chatas. Ela, rather, what would they do? Haroitza lahavi oila. Who someone would want to bring an oila that comes with a dava, misnadu maybe, they would go ahead and donate it. Shlomim, if someone wanted to buy shlomim, misnadu maybe, they would also go ahead and bring it. Toidam arba min halachma, if you want to bring a toida and arba min halachma that come for itself, misnadu maybe. Naziris le'istadu. However, he says, Shimon says, but naziris they were not manadiv, chasidim rishonim. Why? Kadesh li'karu chaytim. They did not want to be called chaytim. So Shimon saying no. They don't want to bring this carbon chatas by Nazir because he called a chaytim. Because the Nazir is called a chaytim. Shenemar, how do you know? Because it says the kapanas of Nazir in Bamidbar Perak Vav Pasuk Alf, it says v'chipar Allah masher chata al hanafesh. So you see the pasuk calls him a chaytim. So therefore, Reb Shimon says that no, nidvas kesherim by Nazir, there is no such a thing. It doesn't work. Why? Because kesherim are not makabel and zeros themselves. So essentially, Reb Shimon is arguing on this. Rabbi Yehuda, he says,
I'm just cutting this.
Yeah, he's arguing on Rabbi Yehuda because Rabbi Yehuda says that it is possible nidvas ksherim by naziris, and Reb Shimon clearly argues on that. So Zakti Maravaita Amar Abaya says, Shimon Hatzadik, verb Shimon, verb Lazar Kafar. The Kula Shita Achasain, they all have this one opinion. They're all this one opinion. The Nazir Chayt have the Nazir is a sinner. Zat Gemara, Shimon Hatzadik, verb Shimon, Hadamar. Shimon Hatzadik, Arab Shimon, where do we find that? That we say. This is what Gemara just said before. That was Reb Shimon. We just finished saying Reb Shimon. Lazar Kafar Berevi also holds like that. The Tanya of Lazar Kafar Berevi Omer Chibur Lamash Chatal Nefesh. It says in the pasuk by Naziris, Chibur Allah Mashachatal Nefesh V'Chibur Ezu Nefesh Chatazeh. What was his chait that Ezu Nefesh and who soul did he sin? Elosh Tziratz Min Yayin. His sin is that he asked himself from Yayin. This is Zakti Gemara, V'Leidorim Kal V'Chomer, Choretz Kal V'Chomer, Mazeh Shelo Tzir Atzim Elam Min Hayayin Nikar Choyta. This guy that who's Tzir Atzim Min Hayayin is called a Choyta. Mtzaras is called Davar Achas Kama V'Kamo is called a Choyta Mikon. So there right then and there you see that Blood on the Kafir held that a nose is called a Choyta. Called Avachas Kama because like the Gemara is called Yeshub Tainus Nikar Choyta. You see here somebody that's sitting in a Tainus in a fast is called a chayta. It's like the Gemara b'hadin kra, b'nazir tamik sev. The pasuk mashachat al nefesh that we just brought is talking about a nazir tummy. So it's a mashma, a nazir that perhaps did not get tummy. He's not called a chayta, even though he's sirat minayin. So the Gemara is asking on Lazar Kabur just finished saying a nazir is chayta because sirat minayin. The chayta is not mashma there in the pasuk. Zakti Gemara, Mishum Neshana B'Chetu. You want to know why the Indian of Chet is only mentioned by Nazir Tamei in Torah, that's because he's Shana B'Chet. Because he on Nazir Tamei, he doubled over on his Chet. He has a double Chet because he was Matam, because he became Tamei. And why? What's Gemara saying? Because technically it could have said Me'asher Chata al Nefesh. It could have just said, I'm sorry, Me'asher Chata. The fact that it says the extra words al hanafesh, you see from that he's a nazir is called a chayta because it's serious nafshim and ayayin. Okay, so now we're up to the next Mishnah. So the first Mishnah was saying that kinuyim works by Nedarim, by Choram, Shavuos, and Naziris, and now this Mishnah is going to actually go on to explain these different kinuyim. So a normal way of someone making a neder is a lashon that you would bring a carbon with. So now the Mishnah is going to list the different kinu of nedarim. So ha'imr lechaver is someone to tell his friend kainim. So I'll say kainim, for instance, kikar za'alai. I'll say kainim, this piece of bread on me, or kainach, kikar za'alai, or kainis, kikar za'alai. Harei ele kinuyim lekarbon. So those are kinuyim. Those are like nicknames for if you want to make a carbon michal, which you usually use in nedarim. Cherech, cheref, harei ele kinuyim lecherim. So those three words, cherech, cheref, cherech, or cheref, those are kinuyim for boycotting. That's for like Pedek Abayis. Harei kinuyim lecherim. Nazik, naziach, paziach, harei kinuyim lenaziris. Those are kinuyim for making naziris. Shavusa, shakuka, and Nedarim. If somebody says Nedarim, which is basically saying he's making a neder in Moshe, so he means to say that Shavuos Bichal, like Shavuos Moshe to Yisrael. So those are all lashonos for Kinuyim and Shavuot, for a Shua. Itmar Zakti Gemara. Kinuyim, all these languages of Kinuyim, the Mishnah said, Rechon said that they are L'shain Umis, which means that they are that's like the language of people. That's how they make Shavuos, so that's how they make Nedarim, or that's how they make Naziris, or Cherem. So that's what Reb Shimon ben Lakish says. That's what Reb Yechanan says. Reb Shimon ben Lakish Amar, Lashon Shabadu Lahem Chachamim Liyas Neidabai. It's words that the Chachamim came up with these words that someone can make an neder with. And so you see in the pasuk says Malachim, Parak Aleph, V'chodesh Hashabadim Milibay. And what do you see from that? You see from this pasuk that like Reb Shimon ben Lakish bring a raya. You see from that pasuk that it's talking about the Chachamim. They came up with those words. The time of my Tikkun Rabbanan Kinuyim. So according to Reb Shimon ben Lakish, why were the Chachamim? The Gemara wants to know. Chacham came up with these words that they were, they came up with they created these words. The Gemara wants to know why did they do that. So Gemara the Leilei Carbon. The reason why they came up with these words because they didn't want a person to say the word carbon. For Gemara Leilei Carbon. What could be wrong with saying the word carbon? The Gemara Dilma Amar Carbon Lashem, because they were afraid maybe somebody would say Carbon Lashem. For Gemara Leilei Carbon Lashem, so say Carbon Lashem. What could go wrong with saying the words Karban Lashem? It's like Gemara Dilma Amar Lashem. Maybe a guy would say Karban Lashem, and then they would backtrack on the word V'lo Amar Karban. Sorry, maybe Dilma Amar Lashem V'lo Amar Karban. Maybe they just say the words Lashem, and they wouldn't say Karban Lashem. They leave that word out. Comes out they be Moitzi Shem Shemayim Levatala, because they're just saying Hashem's name in vain. Vitanya. Reb Shimon says, how do we know that a person should not say Lashem Ayla? So the Gemara is very soon going to go right to this Reb Shimon Lakish. How do you know that a person should not say Lashem Ayla, or Lashem Encha, or Lashem Toida, or Lashem Shlamim? Talmud Leimer learned the pasuk says, Adam ki yakim mikem Karban Lashem. A person that's makar from you a carbon to Hashem. The Kal v'chomer, l'chor you have a Kal v'chomer. Uma zeh shlei nescham al hashem shemayim al carbon amra toiber Karban Lashem. Only this person that his whole intent was to mention Shem Shemayim on a carbon. The Torah says Karban Lashem. So levatala alachas kam v'kama. Right, so in other words, so you see from this that we're saying Kal v'chomer. Madach, this guy that his whole kavanah was to mask Shem Shemayim carbon. Torah says what you say. You should say Karban Lashem. Why? Because we don't want you to come to Moitzi Shem Shemayim Levatala. Is make sure you say the word Karban for Hashem. So somebody that's mask Shem Shemayim Levatala and it just says the word Hashem for no reason, alachas kama v'kama, that's going to be a problem. You have to be careful. It's like about lema katanoi. Beishamai omer. So Mar wants to say that this machlokes with Yochanan and Rish Lakish that we're bringing, what are Kanuyim, say that's machlokes. Say that Tanam arguing machlokes Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Why? What do we see? Beishamai omer. Beishamai says Kinuyin Asurin. Beishol Omer Kinuyin Mutarin. So if it's not regular Kinuyin, it means it's a step down. It's like not even nicknames. It's like it's even less than that. So that's Kinuyin. So Beishamai says that the neder is chal, and whatever you ask himself on is aser. Beishol says, so it makes a neder Kinuyin. It's nothing. My love. Mandamar Kanui Asuri and the Mandamar. So Mar was trying to explain what's machlekes over here. So Mar wants to say Mandamar holds Kanui Asur because Kasavar Kanui Lashain Umasain. He holds the reason why it's still Asur because he holds Kanuyin is Lashain of Umas that people use. And so to Kinuyin, so it's also languages that people use, it's words that people use, so that's why it's Asur. Mandamar Mutar, and Mandamar holds Mutar, so maybe he holds like the Gemara Lashbalon Chachamim. And therefore, he holds that the only reason why the neder will go into effect is only if it's taka l'shabbat l'chacham. But kinuyin, those are not l'shayne shabbat l'chacham. Like the Gemara Loi, you have no proof that that's what they're arguing about. The kuli alma kinuyin l'shan umasain. You could say that no. Sai b'shem and Sai b'sala hold that Kinuyin is I'm sorry that they hold Kinuyin is Lashon Umasain. But Beishamai Bahaninam Mishtay Umas. But Beishamai holds that these Lashonis also the people use Kinuyin also. They hold sorry Bahaninam Mishtay Umas. Maybe they're arguing about Mishtay holds that no, people don't use these words, these nicknames. Ibay same was like the Mark tell you know the tarets. Beishamai sorry goes reading Kinuyin. So Gemara is saying, I'll tell you another text. Everybody holds like basically like Rabbi Yochanan that Kinui is Lashon Umesein. And Mishame holds that it's Aser because reading Kinui, Mishum Kinui. He holds that you make Gezerah, Kinui, Atu Kinui. And Beis Hillel says, like is reading Kinui, Mishum Kinui. He holds that no, you don't make Gezerah, Kinui, Atu Kinui. So it's like the Gemara, now the Gemara wants to know, Hechidam Kinui, Nedarim. So these Kinui of Kinuyin, so it's even less than regular Kinuyin. By Nedarim, what are these Kinuyin? So the Gemara, Tanya Yosef. Yosef learned, Mak Namna. So that's a Kinuyin for Kainim, for Nedarim, for a carbon. And Mak Nachna, that's a Kinuyin for Kainach, like we saw before, the word Kainach. And maknasna, that's a kinui for kindness. So the Gemara, hechidami kinui the cherem. What's kinui of cherem? Tani mafsha'a, charakim, and charachim, and charafim. So the Gemara, kinui the zeros. What are they? Tani Rav Yosef, machzakna is a kinui for nazik, and manzachna is a kinui for naziach. Mapechna is a kinui for paziach. So now the Gemara wants to know like this. Mifchazna mai. If somebody said the word mifchazna or mischazna mai and misazna, are these also considered kinuyim of Naziris? Amar le Ravina Rav Ashi. The Gemara wants to know an additional question, additional suffix. Kinma. If somebody says the word kinma mai kainam kamar, does it mean to say kainam, which is a kini of a neder? Idilma kinma besam. It didn't mean anything to do with a neder. He meant to say kinma besam, which is one of the samamani aktiris kamar. Amar Rav Acha b'der Rav Chila Rav Ashi. Kina. If somebody says the word kina mai, does it mean to say kina shtal nagoylam, like a chicken coop of tar nagoylam? And it's not a neder. Idilma lashon dekainim. When it says kina, it means to say lashon dekainim. So the Gemara tibai. We're not sure. We're left with these fakis. When the Gemara doesn't give an answer, if those have dinim of kinuyim. So Zak the Gemara, kinuyin deshvua hechidami. What's the case of kinuye kinuyim of shvua? Zak the Gemara, shvuel shvusiel. So those are kinuyim maybe for shvusa. Shekukael would be for shkuka. It's like the Gemara, the shvuel, is that for shvusa? What do you mean? Shvuel ben Gershom. Mashma, it sounds like a name of a person. It's like the Gemara, Ella, what are kinuyim of shvua? Not shvuel, rather shvuvael, or shvusiel, or shkukael. Like the Gemara, what will be the halacha? That's a shiloh. Okay. Now there's more. Vayter Amar Shmuel. Amar Ashifta. If a guy is making that says Ashifta, Loy Amar Klum. That's nothing. Ashkika. If a guy says Ashkika, Loy Amar Klum. Karinsa is also nothing. Loy Amar Klum. Okay. Zakt Gemara Vayter. The Mishnah said, Nodar b'mahi arei harelu kanuyin. If somebody says, I'm making a neder, like Moshe made a neder, to Yisroi, that's a kinuyin shvua. So the Gemara Tani, we learned in the Brisa. Reb Shimon Gamliel says, Ha'imir b'mahi. If somebody's trying to make a shvua and he says b'mahi in Moshe, le'er maklum, it's nothing, because you don't see from that he wants to make a shvua. And like Moshe did. If he says in the shvua that Moshe made, so that's when the Mishnah means to say that harei l'kinuyim l'shvua. That's when it's kinuyim l'shvua. If it just says b'mahi, it's nothing. It says to say b'maimasa da'amar mahi, in the shvua that Moshe made. So that's when it's chal a din kinui neder. So that's actually talking about in Parsha in Parsha Shmos when Yisro swore, when Moshe swore to Yisro that he's not going to go out of Midian. Zok the Heilige Mishnah. The next Mishnah is going to talk about a neder could actually be chal in one of two ways. Or if someone says that this thing should be asar on me, or somebody could say that this thing should be asar on me, or somebody says that this thing should be to me like a carbon. Those are the two ways. So in other words, he could asar himself on something, or he could say this thing should have a din carbon, and mela I'm asar on it. So Zakti Gemara. Now the Mishnah is going to list a few different things here. Ha'aymer lachulin sha'icha lacha. If somebody says lachulin sha'icha lacha, in other words, he means to say, when he says lachulin sha'icha lacha, he means to say loichulin. In other words, whatever I'm going to eat should not be chulin. In other words, it should have a din carbon. It should not be mundane. It should have a din carbon. Or he says loy kosher. It should not be kosher, so it should be treif or whatever. Or he says loy dachi. It should not be tar, so it would be tameh. Or it says loy tar, or tameh, or noiser, or pigol. In all those cases, he's saying it should be asar, like all those things. So Allah is asar. Ki'imra, if somebody says ki'imra, which is like a keves, which you bring for a carbon, or somebody says this kikar, for instance, should be kadirim, like, which means karbanis that you find in the dirim, which are in the Beis Hamikdash. I guess that's where they keep their karbanis. Or ke'etzim, like the two gezira etzim you have in the mizbeach. Or ke'ishim, like the fire in the mizbeach. Or like mizbeach. Or somebody says kehechol, or this kikar should be kirushalayim, which is mashma karbanis that are brought in Yerushalayim, that are nikrav in Yerushalayim. Nadar be'echad mekol misham sham mizbeach. Or if he makes a neder on anything that's used on the mizbeach, afbishalei hiskir carbon. It even doesn't say the word carbon. Hariz another carbon. The halacha is, it's considered that he made a neder in a carbon, since he said words that are mashma, that is being noted in a carbon. That's a tanakari. Huda'imer ha'imir Yerushalayim le'imir klum. It's not enough to say Yerushalayim. He has to say rather ki Yerushalayim. Although Tanakama also said he has to say the word Ki Yerushalayim. So it doesn't really seem who does arguing with the Tanakama. I guess maybe we'll see. Maybe the Gemara will discuss that.